Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for Cancer Conversations, a program brought to you by UNC Lineberger Comprehensive Cancer Center. My name is Jennifer Potter and I'll be the moderator today. Our topic today is organic food and its benefits and myths. Our speaker is Jennifer Spring. She's a registered dietitian with our Comprehensive Cancer Center with a specialty in oncology nutrition. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to Jennifer.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm so glad everybody could join me today. So I hope that you'll have a better understanding of maybe what organic means and maybe get a better sense of where you want to go in terms of shopping for foods, produce, vegetables, and fruits after our discussion today. So let's get started. Grocery shopping can be a little daunting at times, especially with all the different labeling that we have on food packages with nutrition facts, looking at your food label, how many calories, how much protein is in the food, dietary claims, is this low sodium, is it low fat, looking at the ingredients, and many people are also concerned now we're looking at organic. Food packaging and foods are now being presented to us as organic or non-GMO, and so it can be a little daunting. So I thought today let's take a look. Why are we looking at organic? There's a concern that pesticides used in food crops may pose a cancer risk, particularly in workers in the field. And so how does that translate to the foods that we're eating? Is there going to be pesticide in the food that we're eating? And that's a big concern. So what does organic mean? Organic means that produce and other ingredients in the foods that you're eating are grown without the use of pesticides that keeps bugs and pests off of the plants, without using synthetic fertilizers. These are fertilizers that are man-made, without using sewage sludge. This is it could be human, it could be animal that's used to either fertilize crops, without using genetically modified organisms. These are organisms that have been created to change the genetic or the makeup of an actual food, and so that may potentially pose a risk. We don't know. Or organic foods don't typically have ionized radiation. So some meats and other foods are radiated to decrease the risk of spoilage or parasites that might be in them. Animals that produce meat and poultry, eggs and dairy products typically do not take antibiotics or growth hormones if they're considered to be organic. And that's it really in a nutshell. Most recently in 2019, recent research looked at the association between an organic food-based diet, one that's a diet that's less likely to contain pesticide residues, and cancer risk. And they looked at 70,000 people, and they asked questions about what do you eat? Are you eating fruits and vegetables? Are you a smoker? Do you exercise? How old are you? What is your education level? All of these questions were asked. And what they found was, looking at all the data collected over several years, is that a higher intake of organic foods was associated with a reduced risk of cancer. So this is actually very interesting. This might be another way that we can help to reduce cancer risk in the future by asking individuals to consider consuming organic foods. But this was only one study. So is it really the organic foods that these individuals are eating that decrease their cancer risk? It was shown, because they asked so many questions about other things like smoking and exercising, they found that the people who were eating the organic foods were most likely to engage in a healthy lifestyle. They were exercising, they may not be smoking or be around secondhand smoke. They were eating a more healthy diet that included more beans and fruits and vegetables and whole grains, which means they were getting a lot more fiber, a lot more vitamins and minerals, and they were exercising, and all of these healthy lifestyle habits can also decrease your risk for cancer. These are the recommendations from the American Institute of Cancer Research. Eat more plants, be more physically active, don't smoke. So was it really the organic food? We don't know for sure. So there's no direct evidence that organic foods are better because they may not have pesticides or they have lower pesticide residues. The only thing that we have seen is that the organic foods may be better because of the nutrients, so the vitamins, the minerals, the plant chemicals, the fiber, all of those things that we know can reduce your risk of cancer. So it may not have to do with the pesticide on the outside, but maybe more to do with the nutrients on the inside of the food. And hundreds of other studies have been reviewed to look at the actual nutrition quality of organic foods. Are organic foods higher in vitamins and minerals than non-organic foods? And there actually is they haven't found any difference in the vitamin and mineral content. However, some organic foods have shown higher levels of what we call plant nutrients or phytochemicals, plant chemicals. And let me show you a few of these. So the more colorful fruits and vegetables and plants that you eat in your diet, the more you're going to be able to consume those plant nutrients, which were shown to be higher in some fruits and vegetables on the organic side. And what is it about these plant nutrients? These are chemicals that are in the plants. They provide them with the color of the fruit and vegetable. They provide them with the taste. Some fruits are really sweet, some are very bitter, and so these are providing protective qualities for those fruits and vegetables. And these protective qualities that are in the fruits and vegetables, when we eat them, we're ingesting those, and they provide us those same kind of protective qualities. They might help with inflammation. They may help decrease cancer cell growth. They may help to kill cancer cells. So eating a colorful diet can allow us to be able to get these plant nutrients. And it may be that eating organic foods, you may get higher levels of those. So are you still confused? So what should you do? What can I do? I'm not going to say eat organic fruits and vegetables, and I'm not going to say not eat them. But what we can do in general is let's wash and scrub our fruits and vegetables. Read labels carefully about organic and non-organic. There's a list from the Environmental Working Group called the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15 that looks at the pesticide residues in fruits and vegetables. Maybe consider planting your own vegetable garden to have more control. And consider going to your local farmer's market. Let's look at these a little bit closer. So all fruits and vegetables, non-organic or organic alike, can have foodborne bacteria, things like E. coli or salmonella or listeria that can come from the field where they're growing. And so it's really important to wash both non-organic and organic foods. You want to wash and scrub your fruits and vegetables. There's no need to rewash packaged products that are labeled ready to eat or washed or triple washed. They should be ready to go. You shouldn't have to rewash those. Actually, by putting them in your sink in the kitchen, you may actually introduce contaminants if you have bacteria in your sink, so you're probably better off not washing those. Don't go and use any kind of chemical fruit and vegetable washes or soaps or bleaches, because some fruits and vegetables have a layer of wax that may still be on them, and that might absorb some of the chemical from the soap or the bleach or the wash, and then you would be ending up eating that. So there's no need to use soap or bleach. Some individuals have, and this is anecdotal, meaning that it's not research, but some individuals use vinegar and water wash, which would be a 3-part water to 1-part vinegar. Vinegar is a known antibacterial, but you could rinse your vegetables in that if you want to. It's not going to harm them, and it shouldn't cause any problems if it gets if it gets stuck in the wax. You're just eating vinegar. It's not a chemical that's going to be harmful to your health. So you could do that if you want to, but it's not necessary. For fruits and vegetables that have nooks and crannies like broccoli and cauliflower, or maybe the curly, frilly kales and things like that, you might want to soak those and then rinse them again. That way you're getting all the parts clean. And then for thin-skinned products like carrots and potatoes and beets and those types of foods, you want to really scrub those well and make sure you remove all visible dirt and then rinse them again. So this is going to provide safe food, hopefully free of bacteria, and it should be done for both organic and non-organic. When it comes to considering organic foods, not all organic foods are the same. So you want to look at the labeling of those products. So there's a USDA seal, which you see there in the green and white. You want to look for that label. Typically when you see that label, the food will probably be 100% organic, meaning all the ingredients in that food product, whether it's a produce or a mixed ingredient product, like we'll just say macaroni and cheese, for example. If it says USDA organic, 100% organic, all the ingredients will be organic. Some products will just have the word organic on the front of their labeling, and that means that at least 95% of the ingredients are organic. And you can always go back into the ingredients list, and they'll usually have a little asterisk or star next to that ingredient, or they may actually say organic flour was used or organic sugar, and you can read that very carefully. And then if it says made with organic ingredients, that means that at least 70% of the ingredients are organic. And again, you can go back to the ingredients list and look to see which ingredients are organic if you're concerned about specific ingredients. And then I had mentioned earlier, looking at what is called the guide, that's the Environmental Working Groups Dirty Dozen Plus and Clean 15. The Environmental Working Group is an organization that looks specifically at pesticides in produce and in foods that we're eating, and they've come up with a list that you might want to use. So if you're not sure whether you should be buying all organic foods, or if you're on the edge and you're thinking, why should I buy all organic foods, you might want to look at this list. So the Dirty Dozen Plus is a list of about 13 different foods that have been shown to have high levels of pesticide residue, meaning there's high level of pesticides still sticking to that fruit or vegetable. And this may be a way that you can determine which foods you're going to buy organic and which foods you're not. And then you have the Clean 15. These have been shown to have very low pesticide residues. And if, you know, this can be really helpful in terms of planning your grocery list for the week and budgeting, because sometimes organic foods may be more expensive. Although that is changing, we have larger organic farmers that are producing larger crops, and so the cost of organic foods is starting to become very similar to the cost of non-organic foods. But using the Dirty Dozen, if those are the ones that you're most concerned about and you're eating the seasonal fruits and vegetables that are on that list, you may want to choose those as organic if that's something you're concerned about, and then you can use the Clean 15 to not be worried about those ones. And the Environmental Working Group, I've given the website on the bottom there, if you can see it under the Dirty Dozen Plus list. Let me see if I can highlight that for you right here. You can go to that website and you can download a pocket or a wallet guide, or you can actually put it on your smartphone as an app to look at that and have that while you're grocery shopping in case you want that. And there's a lot of other information on that website. Another thing that you can do if you're concerned about whether you should be eating organic, but maybe you don't want to spend the money, or you would want to do something that would be healthy, and you could consider visiting a local farmer's market. So typically, farmers are using organic farming techniques, but they haven't been certified organic. Certification for an organic farmer is quite intensive. They have to go through a series of testing of their soil and water and the area around them, and so it can be very pricey, and some farmers just can't afford that, but they may still be using those techniques. And so you might want to just ask the farmers at the farmers market, what are you spraying on these crops? Are you using any synthetic fertilizers? And they're more than happy to talk to you about that. And that would be a good place to go. They're less likely to add chemicals after harvest. So even after non-organic produce is harvested or picked, when it's getting ready to be shipped to the markets, they can use different kinds of chemicals to keep them what we would call shelf stable, to decrease mold. They may use a fungicide, a chemical that might kill the mold. They use chemicals to decrease or to increase ripening or to decrease ripening, so things will stay on the shelf longer. They, for example, they also spray things like potatoes and carrots and onions with something that keeps them from sprouting so that they will be able to stay on the shelf longer. So when you're going to the farmer's market, they're not doing that. You're getting it picked probably the night before or that same day. It's going to be at the peak of its ripeness. It's going to probably have less chemical additives. And also, just as a note, some farmers markets participate in the USDA SNAP program, which is the food stamp program. And so they'll usually have some kind of a poster out that might say these particular individuals participate in that program, which means you could maybe use food stamps to purchase from a local farmer's market, which I think is really cool. Mm-hmm. So there are so many. I was thinking of putting a list of farmers markets in the area, and then I went to this website, and you can see it right here. It's listed, and you can get that down. This is a great website. It lists all the farmers markets in North Carolina. Just click on there, and you put in either your city or zip code, and it comes up with a list of local farmers markets in the counties close by. And it's a great resource. Here in our Triangle area, we have the Carborough Farmers Market and the Chapel Hill Farmers Market and the Cary Downtown Farmers Market and Durham. And then in Raleigh, I think they have a farmers market that's there all the time, all day, every day, all year. And you just want to, ask those farmers what kind of they may not be as local. They may be coming from different areas, maybe South Carolina or from Georgia as well, but they're not as local as some of the ones in your hometown. So take a look and find one of the farmers markets in your area. I think they're great. Another thing that you could do is consider planting a garden at home. It seems a little bit scary if you've never done it before, but you could start very simply. You could start with just a container. So the picture on the top with the strawberries, that's just a basket with a pot inside, and it's on a patio, and you can grow a potted plant to start your own garden. You could do berries. They have raspberry bushes that are containers. You could even do just herbs. Starting with just herbs would be a great way to do it. If you're really ambitious, you could try an in-ground garden, which is, actually putting the plants into the earth right there. Raised bed gardens are great for managing pests and keeping the ground weed-free, so you don't have to use a lot of chemicals that way. And then also inside and outside, you could do window boxes like the herbs I had mentioned, or even some simple things like lettuces, like leaf lettuce might even be something you could do in a window box. So there's a lot of ways that you might be able to do it at home. And also planting a garden at home is fairly inexpensive. So for organic seeds, it may be, I was looking it up today, so if you're familiar with arugula, it's a type of lettuce that's very, it's in the cruciferous family. It's very cancer fighting. It has a lot of cancer fighting compounds like vitamins and minerals, and you can buy a packet of 500 seeds for $3.95 at Seed Savers. So it's very inexpensive to plant your own garden. You just have to be vigilant and pay attention to the garden and keep an eye on it, and you can get some really great things that would be organic and you've controlled it yourself. So the other thing I want to point out, I want to make sure everybody understands that organic doesn't always necessarily mean healthy. Just because something has the organic label or it says it's made with organic ingredients doesn't mean it's healthy. So these Oreos here, made with organic flour and sugar, still have the same amount of high calories and fat and sugar as standard Oreos. So just because it's organic doesn't necessarily mean that it's healthy. So look at the nutrition label. Continue to try to avoid added sugars and artificial ingredients for better health. Like, oh, I'm going to be done early. And I want to point out, so I don't know if you feel like you understand the difference between organic or non-organic, or if you are concerned about only eating organic foods. If only eating organic foods keeps you from eating the fruits and vegetables and the whole grains and the beans because they're not organic, if you're not eating those because they're not organic and you'll only eat organic foods, then you're missing out on all the vitamins and minerals and the plant nutrients that I talked about from the plant world. And one of the primary guidelines from the American Institute of Cancer Research is to eat a variety of plant foods. 2/3 of your plate should be coming from the plant world. And you don't want to decrease your intake of those foods because you're so concerned about the organic or non-organic. So I would say, if you had a choice between an organic apple and a non-organic apple, and that was the only choice you had if it was non-organic, I would eat the apple because you're going to get far more benefits from all the fiber and the plant chemicals than you would from not eating it. You're going to give yourself a bigger benefit from consuming that. And then I'm going to kind of end with this slide here. The important thing that I want to let you know is eat food, not too much, mostly plants. Whether you choose to have them be organic or non-organic, eat more plants. All right.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. That was wonderful and full of great information. And I want to bring your attention to the email address on your screen. Jennifer has some time to share with us, and she's agreed to answer any questions you may have. The best way to get questions to her is with that email address on your screen. They'll pop up right here in our studio, and we could answer them. But while we're waiting for a few questions, I wondered if you could tell us how a cancer patient or a cancer survivor could benefit from working with a dietitian like yourself with this focus in oncology. A lot of the folks watching today are watching from cancer centers, so it might be of interest to them.
Yeah, so for individuals that are in active cancer treatment, a consult with a dietitian like myself may be helpful in allowing the patient to understand what's to come during treatment. So there may be some nutrition impact symptoms, things that are going to keep you from being able to eat well during treatment. So we can talk about things like how to manage nausea, how to manage loss of appetite, if you have a sore mouth, or if you're having difficulty eating just in general because of poor appetite. We can work on ways that you can get over those nutrition impact symptoms and improve your nutrition during treatment. So it's very important that patients try not to lose weight during treatment, or try not to lose large amounts of weight during treatment, because weight changes can make you more tired and you lose muscle mass. It makes it less likely for you to be able to feel like you want to come into treatment. So working with a dietitian can help maximize and improve your nutrition intake, your dietary intake during treatment, so that you can be healthy and strong and recover well. Did I answer all of that?
I think so. Thank you. Yeah, we're so lucky to have Jennifer. She's been a specialized dietitian in oncology for over 10 years, right?
I have.
Yeah. Working here with patients in Chapel Hill. We did have one question come through, and I don't know if this is something that you could speak to, but a lot of labels on food will say non-GMO. Would you mind defining that or addressing that in some way?
So some foods may be labeled non-GMO but not be organic. So all organic foods are all 100% organic foods. So if you have organic apples or carrots, they have to be non-GMO. So GMO means genetically modified organism. So some crops, some non-organic crops may produce seeds. We'll use corn, for example. So they might produce corn that they're going to grow, and they may, the scientists may go in and they may genetically change. They may alter the DNA, the genes of that piece of seed, so that maybe it's more resistant to pests, and it won't be attacked by pests, or it may be resistant to heat, or it may be resistant to some other, like wilting or some kind of mold. So they'll put some kind of information into that seed, genetically modify it so that it can be resistant or more hardy. And so that's what that means. That's what genetic modification means for a plant. So as of today, I don't think we have any good research, convincing research that has evidence that suggests that eating foods that are genetically modified is detrimental or harmful to your health. So I don't, that would be, you would have to look at more research on your own and to decide for you personally if that's something that you're not interested in consuming. So just remember, if it's 100% organic, any organic product cannot have genetically modified organisms. And if it says no GMOs, that doesn't mean that it's organic, but it just doesn't have any genetically modified organisms.
Okay, thank you for that. Someone wrote in and asked if you could better explain the category of beans and which beans have the most nutrients, the most fiber. If you're going to choose beans, which ones would you eat?
Remember, there's no super food, so there's no super bean. So all the beans, you need to get a variety. So in my presentation, I showed you a picture of eating the rainbow of the foods. I don't think we can go back, but when you eat more varieties, so black beans, kidney beans, black-eyed peas, white beans, you think about what the colors of those skins are. Each of those skins is a different color, and each of those skins is a different color because it has a different plant nutrient in it. So those plant nutrients are the ones that may be helpful in decreasing cancer risk. Also, most beans in general have approximately the same amount of fiber. So any amount of fiber that you're getting from those, for every, third cup, you're getting somewhere between 3 to 7 grams of fiber. So all of that adds up at the end of the day. I would encourage you to eat as many varieties of beans and not try to focus on just one.
Okay, thank you. This might be outside your wheelhouse, but we'll give it a try. Someone asked if you personally choose organic foods, and secondly, do you know if organic foods are better for the pollinators and environment overall?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So somebody is asking if I personally choose. So So what I do, yes, I do choose organic foods, but I really utilize the environmental working groups, Dirty Dozen Plus, and the Clean 15 list. I have a copy of it on my smartphone because I don't always remember what it is. And I utilize that just to be cost effective. I don't necessarily think that I need to eat everything organic. And also, not all the people that I share time with eat organic. So I don't become so hypersensitive to it that I'm not eating and sharing meals with families and friends, because sometimes it can get to that point if you become so focused on it. What was the other part of the question? I forgot.
You answered both.
I did?
I'm sorry. There was about the environment and pollinators.
I can't answer that 100%. I don't know if non-organic foods or non-organic crops decrease pollinators production. I don't really know, to be honest with you. I think maybe that might be a bigger concern for the genetically modified foods. Maybe they don't seed the same way or they don't flower the same way. But I don't know for sure.
Another really good question came in. Do you have any recommendations for vegetarians, how they could get additional protein while they're undergoing cancer treatment?
There's a lot of things that you can do, and this might be a good opportunity if you have a dietitian at your facility where you're being treated to meet with that person and get some advice. But some things that you can do if you can tolerate things like nuts and seeds, those are great protein sources. The beans that we just spoke of, if you can tolerate beans. And in that bean family, I just want to point out also there is a bean that's fairly high protein and it has all the essential amino acids, and that's called a soybean. And that actually would be one of the ones that I would consider getting organic if I was to eat that bean. So soybeans are very high protein. Flaxseed and chia seed can provide some protein. You can use protein supplements in terms of plant-based proteins. So they have pea protein powder, and they have soybean protein powder, and there's hemp seed powder. So there's a lot of liquid nutrition supplement shakes that are vegan, and those would be vegetarian protein sources. So that's just a few things.
That's great. Thank you so much. I think that we hit every question. And just to summarize, one more. Are beans better than potatoes for diabetic cancer patients?
So a long time ago, in my early days as a dietitian, when I was working with some diabetic patients, there was studies that showed that eating beans as a carbohydrate was beneficial to people with diabetes because beans are rich in both kinds of fiber, soluble and insoluble fiber, and that may help to slow the rate of sugar in your diet getting into your bloodstream. And they're also a very high source of fiber. Potatoes, when you take the skin off of the potato, you're decreasing the fiber for that vegetable, and so you may be getting less fiber. So fiber is really important, I think, as part of a diabetic diet. Potatoes are healthy for you, though. I don't want individuals to, completely switch over to eating beans as opposed to potatoes. It's all about mixing it up and not overdoing it in terms of the portion size for a diabetic patient. Yeah, so I think potatoes are fine. Eat the skin if you can. And then have beans every once in a while. You don't have to stick to one thing. Variety.
Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely.
A couple people have asked, just in summary,
Okay.
Organic and cancer, it sounds like the research isn't completely there yet in terms of does non-organic foods cause you to get cancer?
That would be...
So that would be a take-home
message. I don't think we can make causal statements like that, definitely. So I would say that in the overall big picture, it's not important for you to choose organic foods to decrease your risk for cancer. It's more important for you to increase your intake of plant foods, whether they're non-organic or not, or organic, in order to get the benefits that would decrease your health risk for cancer. So eat more plant foods. If you choose to eat organic, that's fine. There's probably a health benefit, maybe slightly higher plant nutrients, but there's no known vitamin and mineral or nutrient difference between organic and non-organic. They don't have more vitamin C or more vitamin A or more minerals. Okay, so they should be fairly equivalent on that sense. You're going to get the same value. If you're concerned about ingesting pesticides, then that might be a reason to consume organics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. And thank you all for tuning in. I wanted to let you know that our Cancer Conversations next month will be about getting started with an exercise program, which I think dovetails nicely off of our conversation today. That'll be August 30th at noon, and we hope to see you then. Thank you again so much, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.